I was actually watching this Maximilian video on Project L. I didn't finish it, but let's watch the last 7 minutes together. So let me explain the first like 20 minutes of this video. They invited a bunch of content creators over to Riot. Max in his first like 13 minutes, he just talks about the system mechanics of the game. I just want to give you guys like a, an idea of where it's starting from.
When you eventually get to all these tag mechanics and how the game functions and how specials feel and how...
Bro, I thought that was Rocket Raccoon in the back corner right there on the left side. But I was thinking about the art style again. You guys were talking about it earlier. The art style in this game, obviously, it changed a lot, right? And even this version of the art style that I'm seeing now compared to the first trailer when they updated the art style, this version seems much more polished. The last time when they first showed the art change, it looked like, hey, this is the new art style we're going with. And then this looks like yeah, we confirmed it. This is what we're going with, and now we've cleaned it up. It definitely looks less Arxis now, too. It looks more, I don't know how to describe this, but it's like very polished cell shaded, Like look at Echo right here in the bottom left of the screen. It's almost like Arxis cross Street Fighter, Is this a League of Legends fighting game? Yeah, that's what this is exactly. I mean, this is way more arcane than it is League of Legends, right?
It's very exciting, and the good part is that the devs were super open to feedback. Granted, this is going to be a big esports game eventually, and we know that.
This is going to be a super big esports game, and we know that? Is that true? That's a very interesting statement. Especially coming from someone like Max, who's talked with the developers. I feel like when I look at Teamfight Tactics, or I look at, Legends of Runeterra, etc., I never see those things becoming like super esports, Like they've had little competitions here and there, But if Max says that, I feel like there's insider info behind it, Riot will pump it with money for tourneys. That's what everyone says, and I'm telling you, I looked at Teamfight Tactics. I wanted to compete in that game, and then there was only invitational tournaments. They had like 8 to 16 man invitationals. I'm like, how the hell do you get invited to this? Now, end of this year, they're having their first TFT LAN. It took what, 3-4 years? How long has TFT been out? I feel like this might be like year 3 or 4. I don't even know. So I think like all this stuff like Hemline just said, Riot has unlimited money, so they can easily shell out money. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Where they're still figuring out systems and how things work.
They're still figuring out systems and how things work, bro. Project L has been out, like, in our minds for how many years now? And they don't know the systems yet? Like, you would have thought that this would have been kind of hammered out by now, right? Hasn't this been, like, 8 years, bro? When was Rising Thunder? Was that the name of it? When did that company get acquired by Riot? March 2016. And they're figuring out the systems? 7 years of figuring out the systems? Also, by the way, it's kind of weird to update your art style multiple times while figuring out the system. Like, you don't even know how it's going to play, but you keep changing the art style. That's strange, isn't it?
And thank you guys for checking out my Project L first impressions, which is crazy to say considering how long we've been following this game. Until then,
I really don't know how to feel about this game. Here's the thing, right? I play Tekken, I play Street Fighter, I play Mortal Kombat. I've dabbled in Guilty Gear games, like in and out really quickly, and I don't ever stick to them. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, I tried. Skullgirls, I played. But tag-based fighters have always been, to me, really, I don't want to say difficult, but hard to keep track of, right? So, like, my brain, I like to take things slow. I like going, here's one character, here's another character. Let me figure out every option and possibility here. And as soon as you throw in 2 or 3 characters and assists, my brain starts exploding, So I'm a little surprised at this decision of theirs to go from 1v1 into team-based fighter, right? Because to me, the appeal of Riot Games making a fighting game, right, was that they were going to bring in this large audience, right? Like League of Legends has a large player base, and they were going to say like, look, fighting games are cool, check this out. So I expected it to be something that was really accessible, right? So it wasn't a surprise to me when they came around and they said, hey, we have simple inputs. Now, you don't have to do, forward, neutral, down, forward, plus button to do an uppercut, right? You just hit like forward in this button or down in this button, whatever, That part of accessibility I understood, and I was like, cool. This level is gonna like destroy people who are not fighting game fans. Like, they are not gonna be able to play this game. I don't know how they made the decision to go from 1v1 to this, right? And if you listen to this whole video where Max talks about this, he talks about how it's like there are crazy situations, and he was like, who's gonna be able to block this, right? I don't understand catering so hard to the FGC while making a Riot game, right? Because that's what this seems to be based on Max's impressions of it, right? Basically, they made a game that the FGC, and by FGC I mean like tag fighter community, might like, but that is like still a subset of the FGC, which is already small, right? So you're catering to like a small section of the fighting game community with the universe of League of Legends, which they don't give a fuck about, right? You're like, hey, you hardcore fighting game guys, here's a game for you made with a bunch of characters and universe that you don't care at all about. And all of you guys who love League of Legends, you will have no chance here. You know what I mean? Like, that's wild to me. I don't understand it. It seems like a really difficult approach to pull off with this version of this game right now. That's where I'll leave it, I think. When I first heard about this game, I thought the best way to make it accessible for people was to have your friends play with you, right? And they added that in here now as a real-time tag-based fighter, right? So now if you have two people on your team, two characters, I can control one, you know, Gilky can control the other one, and we can go online together. And since Gilky sucks, I'll carry him through the battle, right? There's teamwork here. You can be worse at the game and play with someone that can help carry you through it. They can teach you along the way. That's fine, right? But then it's very difficult to do that in real time. So what I thought they were going to do was make it more like King of Fighters, you know, or CVS, you know, where you have 3 characters on the team, right? Or maybe just 2. And you take turns going one-on-one. You take down their life bar, and then you, like, you know, go up to the next person with, like, half your life bar left, you know? I thought that style made way more sense, because then you're, like, playing with your friend who's really good. They could take out 2 people, or they can take out a life bar and a half, and all you got to do is take out 30%, and you're, like, coaching your friend through it, you know? I thought that format, when you're including friends to play with, etc., made way more sense. Real-time tag like this is not new, right? Street Fighter Cross Tekken did this. We had an EVO. I commentated the top 4 of that EVO when we had 2v2 format. And let me tell you, as someone who played that game a lot, it was fun, but coordinating tags, you know, was kind of difficult. You had to have like real synergy and teamwork for that. And I've seen some of Sonic Fox's tweets about this. They brought up some really crazy mechanics they have in this. For example, like there was something like, as the person being tagged in, like store your input for the assist kind of a tag sort of thing. And it sounded so complicated that I was like, that's cool, but also near impossible for casuals to really get good at, you know? It's super cool for Sonic Fox because, you know, they're going to be able to figure it out. But for everyone else, I don't know, man. Pretty interesting because in this game, they're allowing you to play 2 people versus 1 person, right? And it sounds like they're going to have mechanics that may make 2 people better than 1 person by self-controlling 2 characters, you know? So it's pretty interesting. You know, there's potential for it still. I just feel like it's going to be a harder sell at this point to gain mainstream popularity. And I thought that that was going to be the biggest benefit of having a League of Legends fighting game, really. Cross Tekken at a time, when we used to play it, right? We did the tutorials for it and everything. We played a lot of matches back then. You know, me versus Mike, Bobino. Bobino was super good early in that game. And we learned, you know, like specific teams. But then when we played 2v2 together, like it was a lot harder to even match up the characters you wanted to play with. For example, like I think we ended up doing Law and Ryu or something for me and Mike because he liked Ryu, you know. But when I played, I used to do Law and Heihachi, you know what I mean? So like just that aspect of it, like who do you want to use on your team, and then making that work with someone else, and like having the team synergy together with those characters, like that's like an extra layer above, right? Just that little simple thing. Like I don't want to play Ari, right? I want to play Darius. Well, you want to play Echo though, but you know, Darius team's better with Ari. You know what I mean? Like all of those kind of like thoughts, and then forcing that into a 2v2 format, I think that just hurts. I feel like it's just better to have a 1v1 tournament. my non-FGC friends are interested precisely because of a 2vx format. Being able to team up is such a fresh take. No, I totally understand that. And they, for this game, had to do that, right? Because League of Legends players, if this was just 1v1 humans with 2v2 characters, would have been a disaster, right? It would have been so hard for them to even get into. So now there's a chance that they'll try it out, right? And it'll be fun for them. They'll get to play their characters. They'll be like, yo, I'm an Ahri main. Let me play Ahri, blah, 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 right? They'll get to see Ahri in this format, and it'll be completely different than League of Legends, and it'll be an introduction to fighting games. All that stuff, super cool, right? But will they stick with it and like actually be good at this format of a game? Unlikely. You know, I think very unlikely. That could just be me having a negative attitude, right? I could be completely wrong about it. But that's just based off my history of watching people in the FGC, you know? The thing is, you can still play this game 1v1 or 2v2, you know? So you can play 1v2 in this game. Like one human versus two humans. And that's totally fine. So I assume that tournaments will support all formats. Like you can go 1v1, you can go 2v2, 1v2, whatever. Hopefully it's balanced in that way, right? Because saying that out loud made me think of Tekken Tag 2, where they introduced the solo mode, where you had one character, but it had like, you know, bonus health and life regen, whatever. But they couldn't have other system mechanics to try to balance it. And that was like, you know, just not the best situation. If this was just a bad version of Street Fighter, right? I think that would have been more accepted by more people, right? If it was a bad version of Street Fighter that had $1 million prize pool, I think League of Legends players would have liked it more. I think more of the FGC would have been into it. I think that like in this format for the FGC, I think it's going to be a much harder sell for everyone. For the League side, for the FGC side. You know, it'll be cool though. It'll be cool to watch. You know, like when you see a top 8 at EVO, it's going to be fun. There'll be crazy shit happening. And you know me, I'm a League of Legends fan, so I'm going to like it regardless. Like I probably won't play this a bunch, to be honest. Unless Warwick is really dope, right? So like for me, like I have to kind of know that Warwick is coming for me even to like invest time in it, right? Because as much as I like Darius, I don't like him near as much as Warwick, you know? So Warwick in this game is going to be badass though. Like I can just imagine it. And if Warwick doesn't come, I'm going to be so sad.